It is so good to see you again.
Oh, it's
It's
great
been
to see
years since I
you.
last saw you at Intervisions.
Yes, it has been a long time. You look
You look
wonderful.
exactly the same.
Oh, thank you. Well, I could say the same
Time
for
has
you.
completely just stopped.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for all that you're doing and creating. It's just beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. How are you? How are
I'm
you?
well. I'm well. Yeah, just staying busy with creative stuff, which is what I love.
We love the creative aspect of what we get to do because it's the fulfilling part. It would seem that giving is depleting and it never is. The giving is the filling up for me.
Yeah, yeah. I agree, especially when we tap into that creative capacity. I think that's where that well just is never ending.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful.
Good.
I'm coming to you from Luxor, Egypt, and that's the Nile River behind me,
Oh
right
my
there.
goodness, how fabulous. I thought I saw pictures of you in Egypt.
I'm still in Egypt and I'm having an amazing experience in Egypt. Simran, it has been eye-opening.
Really?
It's in so many ways. In
Mm,
so and I love that. I love that. And I'm really in touch with this visceral energy here. It just feels good. It feels
yeah.
right now. So I'm so
It was
thankful.
so funny because I have a good friend that was in Egypt. She just got engaged and she and her fiance went there. And so I'm seeing her post these pictures of Egypt and then I see yours and I'm like, she's in Egypt too. I'm like, everybody's in Egypt. And y'all were literally at the same places at the same time.
Are
It
you
was so
kidding
amazing.
me?
I think she left a couple of days ago, but you were at the same spots. And I was like, oh, that's so fascinating and so magical.
Oh, synchronicity. And that's your thing,
Yes,
is synchronicity, right?
yes, that's
That is.
right. That's right.
So I do not have a formal intro for you because I wanted to share with people how much you've impacted my life, and a little tears comes to my eyes, how much you've impacted my life over the years, Simran. You really have.
Oh my goodness.
Because, yeah, many years ago, when I first saw you at Intervisions, Institute for Spiritual Development in Maryland, I'm a big crybaby, so don't pay any attention to this. It just outpouring of love and a lot comes up. And I saw you, and the first thing I said to myself was, wow, what a beautiful woman. That this beautiful aura and essence and presence that is Simran Singh. And then I followed you doing the 1111 magazine and 1111. And I said, wow, this being is so tapped in, so tapped in. And over the years, whenever the word Simran comes up, I go right to that spot of tapped in, this beautiful goddess, power and presence and poise.
Oh,
And when I saw that you were in Common Sentience and you were on the magazine cover and you told your incredible story for the Owl magazine, spring 2022 issue, right? Was it the spring
yes,
22 issue?
yes, yes. And you graced the gorgeous next issue, which is a fabulous feature. So I hope everyone goes and reads it. It's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. And when I saw you and I never knew about your family experience and your son and some of these things we just don't know. And
Yeah.
the way you just opened up and I know you've opened up all along and shared yourself. Wow, that article really did a lot. And it had so many wonderful pictures of you. I said, wow, look at Simran in these different aspects. Because I was only used to, the spiritual aspect, Simran, the teacher, spiritual presence. So it was enlightening to see the different aspects of Simran, which was so fun to see. And then I saw that you are the author of Signs. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. She is the queen of 1111. She is the daughter. When you think 1111, you think Simran. So this is perfect. And then on the common sentience, I'll flash it up on the screen during the edits of this video. On the website, actually, your book is right here, Signs, and I'm right next to you. And I thought, universe, how does this happen? It is incredible.
Isn't it
So,
beautiful?
oh my God. So welcome, Simran Singh, and please introduce yourself to us, Simran.
Oh, how do I introduce myself? I am a love catalyst, a rebel humanitarian, an author, a mystic, a speaker. And what I love to talk about are how we always experience conversations with the universe. We are always getting signs, symbols, and synchronicities every step of the way that guide us. And we have these incredible experiences in our life that are to teach us how we're living, how we're being, and how we're knowing. And it all starts with the little tapping of the signs that start our spiritual journey and continue to move us forward. And so, yes, I started my journey with 1111 magazine because that was the initial sign that kept showing up for me and kind of opened me up to this world of signs. And I'm also the host of 1111 Talk Radio. And I'm really, really excited about this compilation in the book Signs, part of the Common Sentience series, because now it's an opportunity not only for me to talk about signs in depth and how individuals can more deeply tap into them and open up to them and attract them and speak to them and have this dialogue with the universe, but now the proof of so many other people who are having their own beautiful conversations and interactions with signs are now going to come to light for individuals so that they can follow their own divine guidepost and pathways and different ways that signs lead us.
That is beautiful. So how did 1111 first start coming to you? Because I know the viewers will want to know, how did these signs show up for you? What happened in your life? Like, could you take us through that? And I'm just going to put on these sunglasses because I'm sitting outside and I don't want to be squinty.
Oh, it's not my glove.
Here with
That's right. 1111 actually organically came about. And, for many of us, our spiritual journey often begins due to constriction or contrast or strife or dysfunction. And there was a lot of challenge and dysfunction in my personal life in terms of trying to figure out why it didn't seem to just be easy to be in my relationship, to flow, why love seemed to be hard, why the dynamics in my current experience at that time was really contrasted. And it got to the point where there was so much pain that I asked for a sign, which I think is something that many of us do when we are in a place of question or confusion or darkness or the depth of an experience where we really just don't know what else to do. And we've kind of thrown up on our hands and we kind of say, could you just give me a sign? And that was me, right? I'm right there going, where are you? Give me a sign. Tell me what to do, or take me out because this is just too hard being human. And we all have those moments. And, in the past few years with the pandemic, I'm sure a lot of people hit those moments and we're looking for the signs. And in a world where we can often see so much darkness and heaviness, we can miss some of the most subtle signs that are really these constant tappings that are magical. Well, mine showed up as 1111, 11 and 111. And mostly the 1111 showed up on clocks, billboards, license plates, store receipts. And Valerie, they appeared almost 25 to 30 times a day. Like it wasn't like over the course of a period of time. I mean, it was for a period of about 4 weeks. Everywhere I turned, it was 1111, 11 or 111, and it would not stop. And I at first thought, okay, you're losing it, Simi. There's no way these numbers can show up this much in frequency. And why is it happening? And so then I finally threw my hands up in the air again and said, either tell me what these numbers mean or make them stop. And it was in that moment I got the full meaning of 1111, and I got downloaded with 1111 magazine and the radio, and that I was to do this work. And it really, the magazine and the radio show and the 1111 was simply, I think, a way for me to grab hold of an understanding that something was happening. And it was a way to put me on a spiritual path while teaching and sharing with others. I was learning and growing as well. So 1111 served me. And in that well of overflow, it served other people. But along the course of that, I learned, oh, the universe is talking to me in a lot of different ways. There's all kinds of signs and symbols. And what do they all mean? Can I figure that out? So that began a whole other journey.
Wow. 25 to 30
It
times.
was crazy. Bulldozers, trains everywhere, buses.
Were you overwhelmed, or what was happening in you as that was being presented to you by the universe?
Well, I was in this mix of a lot of emotion, trying to figure out how to support someone as they were moving into rehab, and trying to decide whether they were complete in my life and I needed to really let him go and move on with my life in a different way. And then there were these numbers showing up, and it was kind of the mix between something magical and wondrous, and wondering if I was in an Alfred Hitchcock movie, because it was so bizarre, right? It was just so incredibly bizarre. And then on the child, I have a child that's like 6 years old. So I'm trying to navigate, this bridge between worlds, which is another place that I think individuals, when they start their spiritual journey, or even amidst transitions in their spiritual journey, we often have one foot in one world and one foot in another. And we're not quite sure where we are, or who we are, or what we're becoming, or who we're becoming. And it is the signs and the symbols along the path that really help to guide and build that trust with the connection of the universe to even be able to move forward. And so that became integral for me.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. So I heard you say something fascinating. You said that when you asked, here came the download, and now then you knew what 1111 was or is. What is it?
So I do think asking is a really important part of signs. And I go into that in depth in the new book to help individuals understand how they can begin tapping into signs while they read other people's stories as well, which I'm so excited about people submitting to. But as I looked at what 1111 meant in terms of the images and the feelings that were coming through me, what I got was that it's the 4 pillars of mastery. Each one represents physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and that we are here to master each of these ones. Alongside that, once we do, that becomes a gateway in which we move through our series of ascensions. And when I talk about ascension, I'm not talking about ascending off of this planet, because I kind of feel like the reason we came to this planet was to be here, not to ascend off. I think we're meant to be embodied. And so these 11s and mastery of each of these pillars helps us to embody more. And the gateways we move through are actually the gateways of our own veils. And so it is a deepening of our spiritual expansion and self-realization that starts to take place as we begin to encounter the 1111. But that's not the only sign that people will see. Millions of people around the world are seeing that. But what I really want to bring to light is signs show up in many different ways. And we each have our own dialect with the universe. We each have our own way that these signs and symbols will show up and what they will be.
Now, this is fascinating. I've never heard anyone describe 1111 as 4 pillars. So spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And it also signifies that we are all one, that together we create oneness. And so there are multiple meanings to it, but the main meaning was the 4 pillars. And that was much of the reason that I think I was given those images of magazine covers and prompted to start the radio show. It was to put out the type of media and positive lifestyle information that helps individuals master those 4 pillars.
oh, wow. So that they can have an embodied experience right here on planet and not be thinking of, well, after I end this incarnation, then I'll be up here. I'll be.
Yes, yes. Well, I think one thing, so many individuals live in their heads from the neck up, and we have to bring our spirit down into the body. And so much of that spiritual path and much of what the signs and symbols and synchronicities are trying to guide us towards is actually ourselves, because every sign we see is really just us. It's a mirror of us in some particular way, while it's also this guidepost that is leading us down a path of our own grace, our own experience, our own awakening. And oftentimes in the spiritual fields, people talk about ascension or they talk about evolution, and all of that stuff is out there. There's nowhere to go. The entire universe exists in here. So everything up here is a projection field. It may look real, it may feel real. It is part of the virtual reality we created to experience ourselves, because we are experiencing itself. And we came here not to have a journey. We came here to be the journey. And signs are part of that being of the journey that we are here to experience.
That is magnificent. And it really puts it, what I'm getting from this energetically is a sense of now, of be here now, that it's all here right now.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that that's what signs do. You know, they're not like we go around looking for them, right? Some people try to, that's when you don't find them.
Right.
Signs show up when you are not expecting them. There's something that you happen across. They're that aha moment where you just notice a billboard and the right word is there to the question that you have been asking yourself for days, you know, or a person pops up in your field and they start speaking to you the very message that you needed to hear. Signs are this beautiful mirror of the universe, this reflection of ourselves back to us, almost an oracle guide that speaks to us that seemingly is on the outside, but it is just this projection of something to create this magical world that we live in. And we're a part of that co-creation.
We are. So we're not sort of reacting to something. We're not, oh, the universe is sending me, because that's how we look at signs a lot of
Well,
times.
that's actually what most people are doing. They're reacting to the signs. What I'm trying to get them to realize is not react to the signs, go, oh my gosh, and get distracted and taken off course in a different kind of way, but actually let the signs turn you inward, because that's what they're really trying to do. So often we see the signs and that has us jet setting outward and really here to go inward. And from going inward, that sign will have an actually deeper meaning, our own dialect that is well beyond what the general meanings of many of these things are. And it is from that inspired space that we then move back out. And that is how we balance our masculine and our feminine energies. So signs play a pivotal role in bridging the inner and the outer, the upper and the lower, the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. They really do incorporate a sense of balance for us, as long as we don't get distracted and treat them like squirrels.
You know, and running all over the place. I remember when that used to be kind of how I operated, and it until it went deeper, until it deepened. I heard you say dialect a couple of times. So each of us has our own dialect, our own universal dialect that's projecting these signs outward for us to remember to go within. Is that how this is working?
Yes, you know, what starts to happen is individuals will start to notice something repeatedly. And at first, it's going to kind of create a sense of awe of, I keep seeing that, I keep seeing that. And then there's going to be these moments where people ask for a sign and they're going to get one and they're going to doubt it. And so they're going to ask for another one. And they're going to doubt that one too. And so they're going to ask for one more time, just so I can be clear.
Give me another sign.
That is a clear indication you're in your head. Okay. That means you have not dropped down and just embraced and embodied the sign. But we all do that. We're human. We're going to ask over and over again. And so the first thing that a lot of people do when they do get a sign is they run to Google or they go pick up a book, or they try to figure out what's the spiritual meaning of geese, what's the spiritual meaning of a white feather. And they will find general depictions of numbers, of animals, of plants, of crystals, of whatever you want. You can put in Google and say spiritual meaning of, and you will find a meaning. And that will be general for everybody. But the deeper you become self-realized and the more you really want that trustworthy connection with the universe, if rather than running off outside yourself again to figure out what the sign means, if you were to stop and take a breath and ask yourself what the sign means, intuitively something is going to bubble up, and you will start to develop your own library of meaning for signs and symbols that appear. And this is how you develop your own dialect with the universe. And in that way, you have a general meaning, but then you have a very personal and intimate interaction with the universe.
This is delicious. So I have a sign, and this sign that I have came to me when my mom ascended. And I did not have the sign immediately. I received the sign in an email, and I knew right away it was a sign because it said that her service, her memorial service, we had to get approval from the Kingdom Hall where she was a member of to have her memorial service there. And I received the email and it said that her memorial service will be on February 2nd at 2 p.m. And I saw right there 222. It just almost like it shined from the email, like
Yeah.
there was an information of 222. So I got the sign, 222. And right away, I knew it was my mother's number. I knew that 222 was her saying something, doing something, causing us to learn. And since then, Simran, I've probably seen it. That was in 2013 when my mom released her body. That a little over 9 years, I've probably seen it thousands of times. I have so many pictures of it because I knew no one would believe me if I told them that 222. I would just say, let me go to get a McDonald's coffee. And literally, they would give me a receipt and my number would be 222. Number 222, like, what? I would just be driving and all of a sudden just look at the clock, 222. Or I would just pick up my phone and just get ready to make a call. The time, 222. It was like a 222 stalking.
Well, you just did the dialect portion that your intuition said, this is my mom, when you read that email. And so that 222 appearing all the time is simply your mom saying, I'm still around you. I'm right here. I've got you. I am protecting you. I am guiding you. It is to help you feel full and fulfilled. And all signs are that way. There are no ominous signs. You know, I had someone email me a few weeks back, and she was really, really upset because her church in New York had chosen a new building, and the address was 666. So upset. She was just beside herself, and there had caused all kinds of turmoil in the church. And, you know, why are we choosing this number? You know, it's representative of a certain thing and all of this stuff. And I wrote her back and I said, you know, there's no bad sign. All signs are angelic and good. You know, any fear that comes up needs to be looked at. But the depiction of 666 in the movies is all makeup. That's not the truth. And you have to anchor into the truth. The true angelic meaning of 666 is a portal, a gathering place, an open doorway for safe haven. And the angels are here to support you. That is what 666 actually means. And so a church is ideal for that address because it's an open doorway. It's a haven. It's a place for people to come and feel safe. And so it's interesting what we will do with signs. And we have to be very careful of not projecting our fears onto signs, because we will empower our fears with the alchemy that a sign holds. And so it's really necessary that we understand the way our minds work and how we are looking at the world, whether we're looking at the world from that lens of duality and contrast, or whether we are really mastering those pillars and staying in alignment with the truth of the world, which is, it is only divine. There can be no wrong.
Wow. How would you support a person in moving beyond the ingrained thought. Like in Christianity, I got it too, that 666 was something other than the divine. And now we see it and we're presented with it and embracing it as a beautiful space. That's what I just got from what you said.
Yes.
How to get past the ingrained idea that this is something other than that?
I don't really know that I believe we're here to convince anyone of anything, but I do think we can introduce individuals to ideas and concepts and see if they're willing to look at it another way. Because whenever we plant those seeds, they have to stay in there, just like seeds of fear are planted in people, so that every time they see something or do something, that seed of fear pops up. The same thing happens with seeds of goodness. And when we plant those seeds of goodness, I know without a doubt, every time that woman now sees 666, she's not going to think of the devil. She's going to think of angels, because now it's been introduced to her. And that's what consciousness is. Consciousness is about expanding the mind and opening the heart and aligning to truth. And so when we utilize, everything within our purview to really look at where our projections and our judgments are, that's where we can begin to ask for signs to illustrate, where are we misled? What is the direction I am required to go? Show me a sign I can sit with and contemplate on to get a deeper understanding. And we can use all of the signs and symbols that show up to kind of confirm our trust with not only the universe, but with life, and foremost with ourselves. Because when we do that, then we trust God, we trust the divine, we trust all that is. If there's ever seeds of doubt, it only illustrates our lack of trust.
So true. I love that there are no bad signs and there are no ominous signs. They're all divine. And so are there signs that are warning signs? Or are they simply all signs that are simply pointing the way to a deeper embodiment of truth? Are there some, yeah.
I think it depends on your perspective of life. I just completed a trilogy that just released called Living, Being, and Knowing. And it talks about, all the unorthodox blessings and the different dimensions that we have of ourselves and how we're here to uncover those things. So I talk a lot about diving more deeply into ourselves and learning about that. But when we look at signs and we are really in this place of being the journey, knowing that we are experiencing itself, then every sign that shows up is simply there to help us gain experience. So I'll give an example. I was going through a road tour many years ago that I did called the Rebel Road Tour.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Two signs showed up right when we were beginning. The first sign was we were outside of the RV, and the other two women and the kids and I were in a circle, and we had decided to start the tour off with a prayer. And right when we completed the prayer, this round cap off the side of the RV had a huge pop, like a gunshot, and it shot off the RV, and it was like releasing pressure from in the RV. And none of us were in the way, so no one got hit. But one person would look at that and say, oh my goodness, that was something that just exploded. That could be, maybe that's not the best thing to start off this trip. But we continued on. The next thing that happened was we got to our first stop, and right before we entered the area where the RV was to park at the intersection, a Jeep blew up in front of us. And so here we had another big blow up. Now, most people would say, okay, you've had two blow ups right there. I was turn around and go home.
Right. We need to shelter in place. What
exactly
your thought would be like shelter in place. Yeah. Protection. Yeah.
But really, especially in looking back now over what has transpired, the universe was simply placing the guidance that you're about to walk through the fire. And you're in a place of transformation and alchemy, because what starts alchemy is fire. And so the fire is coming. Be prepared and know that this is part of the experience. And that led on to a series of events that probably grew me more spiritually than anything ever would have. But I had to walk through the fire. Now we can turn away and say, I want to ignore that, or I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go back home. But to stay small is much harder than to walk through the fire.
Wow, that's a quotable right there. That's a tweetable right there. Oh my goodness. To stay small is a lot harder. It's much harder than to walk through the fire.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we're so afraid of walking through that fire. When we see it coming, it's like, ooh, back off. I just had that experience yesterday in Cairo, and I was sharing that on our live streams, and I went through it and it worked. And it's I find it a purifying fire that brings the gunk to the top so it can be scooted off, and now you have this gold. So what can help us move through that fire when we see it?
Well, the interesting thing is, when we don't want to move through the fire, what happens is this inner fire starts. It starts to burn us up, because we get so aggravated with ourselves. We get so angry at holding back, at not moving forward, at staying stuck. That will create an inner explosion. And so it's better to go through the fires that are outside, because that same cleansing that you just spoke of, that's what takes place. We start to clear off the stuff that has built up inside by moving through the challenges, by moving through the things that appear in our life, because they grow us. They grow our muscles spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. It is part of why we came to this human incarnation. You know, we are in this playground, this obstacle course, and we came to see if we can maneuver it. And so to try to avoid the things that show up, or say that a sign is ominous or bad, or don't go that direction because that's saying something's wrong, then that's ignoring life. Now, you are going to get those moments where there's a very strong sense of, this is not right for me. You know, there will be those signs that will say, this is not right for me. That's different than don't go there, be afraid. You have to find that place of trust and inner alignment and grounding, to where when you look at a sign, it's not evoking fear. It's evoking a sense of your choice, your decisions, your inner authority, your trust, your power. Otherwise, it's all going to be the power of others. It's going to be the oppression of the outside. Life is trying to teach us empowerment, and it's up to us to take everything that comes our way and use that.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful conclusion. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is your book, Signs, and you're inviting us, all of us, everyone watching, to share their stories of signs. Yes. So could you tell us, all of the audience, everyone watching, what would you like to hear from them? What would you like to hear from them in their stories? How can they do that? Be in this book that you are authoring and leading, Signs.
Well, I would really love for others to understand that they're not alone in the signs and symbols that they're seeing, and to understand that we're all having that magic in our lives. In a world right now where it's so easy to get caught up in the dents, I want these stories to be that light, to let people know that we all have this magic in our lives, and that we can put our focus and our presence on the magic as opposed to the density. And so I want the stories to be such where they're heartfelt, beautiful experiences, intimate experiences that you had with a sign that really led you to make a different choice, or go down a different path, or become aware of yourself in a new way. Some sort of sign that really was pivotal in making a shift in your experience, or bringing you more empowered or into your life purpose. It could be a sign that meant you really connected with someone that passed, like you said, or a sign that led you down a whole different path of expression and experience, or perhaps led you to your lover and your partner. It could be any of those types of things, but there have been certain things that you have seen repeatedly that make you smile, that warm your heart, that expand your spirit every time those show up, those little conversations with the universe that are the dots that you connect to keep you moving on your journey. That's what I want shared.
Wow, that is a delicious invitation.
Yeah.
Lastly, how can everyone get a hold of you? How can they find your world and all you have to offer?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. You can go to iamsimran.com or 1111mag.com and find all the things that I do. And then definitely go to Common Sentience, the Signs book, as well as the other books in the series. There's so many amazing ones. I'm excited about yours as well. I think it's a beautiful series that really does share the magic and the mysticism of our world in a wonderful way that's simple and clear, and lets us realize that we're part of a collective, that we're not all out here alone, that we're all having many shared experiences that are really, really beautiful.
Absolutely. And Simran, I so thank you for your time and for your attention to everyone that's here and for sharing yourself with the world and being so open-hearted, so giving, such a fountain for so many years. And for
Oh,
people, who are just seeing Simran Singh for the first time, she's been doing this for years. Maybe months, would you say?
oh, it's almost 2 decades now. It's been a long time.
That gives me God bumps. Look, there's a sign like
That's a
woo.
sign.
So thank you so much, Simran. And we're going to link everything below this vid. And to everyone watching, we love you and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Valerie, for this beautiful time together. And it is so wonderful to lock arms with you in the Common Sentient series by Sacred Stories Publishing. I think it's a delight to reconnect in this way and not only be face to face, but side by side on the bookshelf. I think will be extraordinary. And congratulations again on the gorgeous cover feature in the Owl magazine.
Oh, thank you so much, Simran. Same to you. Have a beautiful day and be blessed, okay?